そうですね、一応このようにまとめてしております。
How long are you guys here? Do you guys come through often? I don't know how the education works. First time in Japan?
Yeah. We came specifically for an event in the university.
Oh, okay, cool.
Technology Institute now.
Yeah.
Institute of Science.
They changed it? It wasn't good? Okay, got it.
これ考えないと無料イベントでやる
What's his name, right? Mario? Yeah.
モハメドが5回ぐらいパスワード持ってない。
So yeah, the one usually
いや、さっきリセットしたんですけど、
gives us some specific place because
What was he? They should have told me because like, something went wrong. No comment. Leave that one alone. No idea what's going on.
そう、もう決まってないと
we didn't have much information this time, and that was something. Yeah, usually like we train software engineers in social contracts or launching nodes.
I'm on the finance side of the tech side.
Right.
On the real side. Everything's just all paperwork.
500円。
First time flying. First time almost in second time in Asia.
Amazing. No attendee. It's okay. Just go ahead. Awesome. No, this is great.
You live here?
I live in Los Angeles, so I flew in on Wednesday to for these events with Fami. I did it 2 months ago. I came in with Dan and Stan. We went and all the exchanges, so, and now that it's official, again with Fami and we're also speaking with like Sophie. But it's exciting. So I think these guys, also the Merkle guys, have been helping me with out on the whole bench. So I think it's good. And then it's kind of culminating to this event on Friday. I started second invite this morning. I'm like a third field, so I don't know.
We're almost there. So I think the last round of testing is
Great.
2 days.
Great. Because I'm not involved in the tech side once again, so I'm always coming according to the schedule people tell me. I was like, of course I come up these are the days. So last
Plus
time,
minus 3 weeks.
yeah, so last time we were here, we're like October, and then like yes, November. Yes, November. It is what it is.
Yeah.
That's cool. All good.
Wasn't high enough.
そう、なんか入れないです。
I have been to very
Probably. For like in LA.
Yeah.
I'll walk over. I'm kind of not so I was actually in Vegas with everybody all the time, and then saw everybody at Consensus also. I've seen the same people. I don't think I've seen them.
Yeah.
And I'm on this trip. No, I did not go there. I did there at permissionless. I skipped token. No, I skipped like 2020. And yeah. The conference is next Thursday. When next Wednesday? We're trying to squeeze our way in. Like we're already original direct from me all the way out to. Now we're not. Oh, there's an event like all this. You should come again. I'm like, I was just about to go now. And you're talking 2 months ago. And then there's talking 2 of 1 2 months from that. Less than 2 months from that. Well, exactly. exactly what that plan.
入りました。
Someone else.
Yeah, it's like, I don't want to go there, but like lower numbers. I like it.
Do you speak Spanish? So there's no language barrier with
So those are my relationships. So last year I spoke to Charles. Charles, you know, this airdrop sounds great. Just tell the Japanese exchange it. I'm like, you should probably tell them because they're also custodians. I dragged them out here. We had a lunch at one of the private clubs, and I invited them even to also the exchange for this Cardano, and they all came, and we basically made the introduction. So it's good. And then 2 months ago, we went for a ride for
And what are they doing? Are they claiming and then splitting the rewards based on their internal?
They don't know either. That was kind of the whole point. It's not. I think because they're custodians, they can't just claim and keep. They're not allowed to. They could either not claim at all and just say they don't support it, or if they claim it, they have to give it away. There's no scenario where they keep it. Right. I think all the other countries are but in Japan, because all exchanges are custodians. That is not. So that's good. So, like, they either don't claim it or they give it to clients. Now that we know the snapshot data, we decided a lot to announce this. So the snapshot data now tells you what. Some exchanges hold everything omnibus in a big old wallets. Some of them hold like one version of shit. One version of that's the stuff. The token is not listed. So some exchanges think it can't.
During the networking, we'll discuss.
And they have to sell it internationally, take the cash and give them cash, which they don't want to do. They want the money to stay on. And some are like, well, since I received it, I can pass it. You know, they can't trade it, right? So there's a lack of clarity as to what happens in this specific scenario.
That would be the ideal scenario, right? They just
No, the ideal scenario is they list it and it's exchangeable, and then they pass the clients and it's all on exchange and everything's happy and they don't take it. Because when they pass it to the client, they use the AUM also. And they don't want to lose the opportunity for them to dump it and buy more or whatever. So I'm trying to
Is that global? Yeah, they just have to make the decision.
I told Bob yes, but I don't know. No, I'm joking. I mean, the airdrop would take forever, so yeah, I'm sure before the end of the fourth airdrop, I think one of the major things is, if there was some random token, probably the answer is no. But I think I told the exchange, we're not discussing the strategy around this, right? The discussion is, if this is a extension of Cardano, then Cardano already exists.
Okay.
Yeah, it's good.
That's
Like, only get away with this even before mainnet, or like at mainnet. If it were not, like tokens usually like, oh, it has to be on mainnet, and we trade international for like 6 months, make sure this is a real project, this is bad, before they allow this somewhere. But this is a special situation. We're trying to play especially since it's hard.
Joshua, in your
But there's some very nuanced stuff. They're trying not to work by I'm very familiar with them. It's not a privacy chain. The trading on chain is completely.
Are you good?
It has the data privacy, which is pretty loud and stuff.
You need to check.
And the
Have you been able to test? Have you been able to test like if everything is good?
Yeah, I did, but he needs to check the layout to show the slides.
Oh, okay.
But is there any law that prevents exchange, that prevents exchanges or banks or whatever to have like private accounts and stuff like that where you don't know the offer?
No, you can't do that.
You cannot do that. Okay, so that's the issue.
All the exchanges are regulated, they all go through KYC, they're very strict about the law. tight system. Almost all the exchanges don't take anybody outside Japan to begin with. It's a very
Are you filming?
all exchanges
Are you filming? Yep.
makes perfect sense. I don't
For SNS or? Yeah, SNS.
send my token to Coinbase and they're not my custodians. Like they have my coin, but they're not custodians.
No, I think they should be good.
For some reason, outside of Japan, the world splits between exchanges and custodians. A wire exchange is not custodian.
That's too much.
In Japan, it's very consistent. All exchanges are custodians. You're asking for it. So it's pretty clean. They have a self-regulating entity that determines what tokens can be listed and you apply to that entity. Or the exchanges have a platform and have a flag.
Is this okay?
Let's get the
Is this okay now?
That's pretty cool.
Okay.
Yeah, but I
Thank
can see
you.
how it will be a hard sell. If they make
Stand there, let me see if you're fixed.
We're not saying that. It's not privacy.
Right.
Their main focus is, so the point is this. I don't really care about privacy.
Like Kabi.
data
Yep,
at
it's
the
good.
level. Their concern is privacy of transactions. And
Edit
track
that's
that. And that's not what Midnight is advertising. There are two different things. And that distinction needs to be made. That's what we're just avoiding.
And there's also the aspect of like the whole point of Midnight is also being able to be compliant while not sharing all your information.
Exactly.
We are trying to be compliant.
Exactly. And that is
もうすぐ概要してちゃんと会社にバッジをする
We'll see how it goes. I've been tasked to work on Japan, Korea, and Taiwan. So we've spoken to the exchange in Taiwan. We're working with partners to make some changes in Korea. They're starting my room.
But then if there's traction there, why not?
So, I mean, it's weird. Some exchanges are saying they want to see a listing at like OKX or some of the big exchanges. They take time to put it. Same as Japan. A lot of the Asian exchanges
今年
use the
来る
international.
年年は
最終には9時半に終わりたいところの10時から
年末ぐらいにしてますカルダノ持ってるお友達に今日行ったのカルダノのイベントに
I am. I read this book by Japan. I was up in Japan yesterday and be in Japan, but
ミッドナイト
they'll list whatever headquarter allowed. They'll list whatever headquarter allowed and the Japanese government signed off, right? The overlap of those two lists is what they're doing. They don't independently develop technology in Japan for their exchange. They just take over.
カルダノ持ってる人がミッドナイト
別のコインを
別のコインを同じ
So no, we are talking about.
で、まあちょっと分離して、着火して、まあ一緒にやってるんですけど、姉妹契約、姉妹契約。
I'm sorry?
エアドロみたいな感じでも
I'm feeling jet lag. I'm tired because this is not an interesting
ね、いろんなエアドロあるけど、
I know since 5
私
a.m.
は私の世代のなんか、
だからこういう形で、それも、
Yes.
同じよう
Yes,
な。
that's correct.
その時は、ミッドナイトザイアンの、使わない今日使わない落とした。
Well, I mean, we talked about it. So I decided on the CEO for a while. Actually, we talked about changing this. So I wanted to get out of hotel business and I think ended up with
面白いね。もらったやつが上がったりして、
very
幸せ
similar.
を感じる。
At one point, there was an NFT studio discussion. That did not go through. A lot of creativity around that time. And I think it was good to end up at.
これでさせて
last year. The market cap is less than 10 million, 1 billion yet. It just passed 1 trillion this week. It was their time. Yeah, but it was. Like, Microsoft trades at like 2x, or not 2x. That's why I trade at 7x. It's an amazing place. Weird has a negative connotation. It's an interesting place. Go for it. You guys go first? No. What is the expert? This is like the translation.
Hello everyone, can you hear me?
Yes, yes, yes.
Welcome to the Cardano community meetup. I am Tad Joshua, the program manager for social. And this is the third and the final part of the TV Days event. we have the people from IoT here, the education board. You guys are welcome. We have Cardano community members in the building and social team members. In this hall right now, we have some snacks back there. And please do not wait for us to give you the authorization to have some to drink. Whenever you feel like having something, please serve yourself. And on this note, I don't want to make things very long or give long speeches, so I will give the floor to my colleague, Kyosuke-san, to say a few words, and then Seva-san is going to take over the floor, and then get going. Thank you very much. Yoroshiku onegaishimasu.
はい、皆さん本日はご来場いただき誠にありがとうございます。ソーシスの高津と申します。この今日のイベントはですね、6月24、25日に開催された、IoG 教育チームからやっていただいた旧東工大でですね、体のデイズイベントっていうものを開催していただいて、そのサイトイベントですね、ソーシャスと IoG、そしてミッドナイトの方々として、開催されます。ぜひこの機会にですね、体の最新情報をキャッチアップしていただいて、皆さんで体を盛り上げていければなと思っております。じゃあ、はい、まずは日本語からなんですけども、ソーシャスからのね、プレゼンテーションを始めます。ソーシャスからはですね、その前にまずタイムテーブルとして見ていただくと、こういった感じになっております。レスピレーションウェルカムが始まって、こういった感じになっております。サクサクいきます。で、ソーシャスとしては、最初に、チーフオブスタッフであるクリステンさんが、お話しいただいて、その後に代表のセラが話しております。それではクリステンさん、よろしくお願いします。
Okay, thank you, Akio-san. Okay, hi everyone, good evening everyone. My name is Krisan and I'm the Chief of Staff at Socius. So I'll start off this event by giving you a brief introduction of Socius, who we are, and yeah, why we're doing this. So Socius is a decentralized ecosystem that where our mission is to give everyone a chance to make a difference. So we have several products. Let me just briefly move this a little bit. Okay. So today I'll talk mostly about Socius Fund. And Socius Fund is a crowdfunding platform that we recently launched, and which aims to give underrepresented founders a chance to gain funding. So maybe I'll just move this forward. So yeah, okay. And then we have Socius Work, which is an impact talent marketplace, and Socius Academy, which is a boot camp for people who wants to pivot into the impact industry to learn impact accounting, where they will gain those skills to get into the impact industry. And then Socius Verify, which is our SaaS platform, and we're working with universities all across the world to issue tamper-proof blockchain-based verifiable credentials to their students. And we have the Socius wallet, of course, to receive those verifiable credentials. And lastly, we have the Tech for Impact Summit, which Sarah later on will go through the event. So let me just bring this back down real quick. All right, so in today's event, I'll focus mainly on Socius Fund, but of course, if you have any other questions regarding other products later, feel free to reach out to any Socius members in this room. And without further ado, so Socius Fund, as I mentioned, is a crowdfunding platform that aims to give underrepresented founders a chance to make a difference. So currently, we realize that there's an investment disparity where women founders, for example, only receive 2% of funding, and also founders and startups, organizations in the global south only manage to receive 2.8% of funding, which means most of the funding are currently allocated to organizations in the global north. So we are trying to rectify that problem. So how do we do that? We are currently using the quadratic voting mechanism that considers 3 of these aspects. So the number of supporters for the project and the donation amount allocated to that project, and lastly, supporters' past impact. So how we do that is that we develop this reputation score system called impact scores and impact point in the social ecosystem, and we use 3 of these factors to determine the voting power for each project gets. So how is this even related to Cardano? So we're currently using Cardano's Identis to create the Socius wallet, where we could verify each voters and each organization's identity. This is to prevent civil attacks, so which means one person creating a huge number of wallets just to vote for that certain project. So we're trying to prevent that by using Identis. So while doing that, we can also protect voters as well as the organization's privacy as well. And as I mentioned earlier, we created this reputation score system to also include each voter's past impact. And so how do we do that is that they could go on Socius work to verify their experience, and then hence they'll receive impact points, which would affect their voting power on Socius fund as well. So what are the benefits and what kind of solutions are we trying to provide? So for funded projects, in the future after getting funded, they'll contribute tokens, shares, an amount of their revenue, carbon credits, and so on back to the Socius fund matching pool, which allows Socius to sustainably fund other projects in the future. And of course, in order to make impact traceable, Socius requires funded projects on Socius fund to also report their impact metrics. And what does this mean to individual donors? So individual donors can receive tax benefits by donating directly to funded projects. So we actually completed our pilot round. Let me just do this a little bit. Okay, I hope people who are comfortable in Japanese can see the translation. Okay, so we just recently completed our pilot round, and we managed to raise $16,000, and we had 766 voters participate in the pilot round, and we managed to receive 985 votes during that round. And in the end, we managed to fund 2 projects. So one project is Hello Japan, which is founded by a woman, and the second project is Mothers for Justice, which also has a female founder, and it's based in the Global South, which clearly shows that what we're trying to do to achieve our objective, which is to have underrepresented founders manage to get funding. So let me just move to the next slide. So we are currently, we already started round 1 and it's ongoing. So we have $500,000 in our matching pool for round 1, and we already have 9 projects submitted their proposal and project on Socius Fund. So if you're currently a founder or you're looking to look for funding and so on, we highly encourage you to get on Socius Fund to submit your proposal and ask people around you to vote for your project. So if you have any questions regarding the submission process or the voting process as well, feel free to talk to us after this. And yeah, that's all for the brief introduction for Socius. Feel free to talk to us here if you have any questions. 日本語でも大丈夫ですので、ぜひ質問があれば教えていただければと幸いです。So now I'll pass the time to Sarah, who is going to talk a little bit about Tech for Impact Summit.
Hi everyone. Hi, my name is Sarah. I'm the founder of Socius. So before I begin my presentation, is there any questions for any of the products that you mentioned? No questions? Everything's clear? Yeah. Good. And I want to take this moment while Akio is preparing. I want to thank IOG for hosting this event. So I just want to thank you for your generosity. Thank you so much. Okay. So how many of you have been to Tech for Impact Summit last year? Quite a few of you, but some of you haven't been there. So I will share a video, highlight video, only 3 minutes.
Thank you everybody for joining. Good morning and welcome to Tech for Impact Summit 2024.
I can't wait to see what all of you build and what we can do to make the world a better place. And I don't want you to be totally trapped and make the world a better place through technology. I'm sure you'll find it fun.
Let's create a future where technology can serve all of humanity in our planet. Thank you so much, everyone. So as you can see, we had a huge successful event last year, and we want to build on this momentum to have another event, next slide, which is much bigger in terms of the number of attendees, but also impact. So last year we were able to onboard many companies, many people to Cardano, and we want to do something bigger than last year. So our mission is to accelerate change through collaboration. And we are bringing in companies, media, investors, founders together to tackle our greatest challenges. This year's theme is Beyond Boundaries, Building 2050 Together. So we want to collaborate with impact companies and technology leaders, Japanese and global communities, and also Cardano and other ecosystems to build our shared 2050. So this is very different from the Cardano Summit. The Cardano Summit is great, I love it, but it's a reunion of old friends. It's an echo chamber. And it has its purpose, but we wanted to do something slightly different, which we want to bring in people from outside of the Cardano ecosystem so that we can bring in more new people, new companies, new funding to for Cardano. So we are expecting about 2,000 attendees, more than 80 speakers and mentors, 70 investors, more than 200 startups, and 10 public sector organizations joining us on the 7th of October this year. So this event has many programs. First one is speeches and panel discussions on various topics. And we have pitch contests, mentoring sessions with investors, experts. So this is an opportunity for founders and startup executives to meet with investors and possibly get connections and get investment. And we also have this year workshops. So Emergo will host a governance workshop, DREDs and constitution committee members to talk about the future of governance. And we also have booth exhibitions. And many of the booth exhibitors are Cardano community members. So Atrium by Big Pay, maybe you know one of the biggest influencers on Cardano. They will have a booth. A lot of Cardano projects will have booths at this event. And yeah, so as you can see, you see a lot of technologies that are outside of the blockchain ecosystem, like quantum computing, or AI for good, nuclear fusion, or brain-computer interface by electricity, blockchain for good, privacy protection. This is where Midnight comes in, and future of governance. So what we want to do is that we want to bridge the gaps between different industry, different ecosystem, so that we can build it together. Okay. So I want to mention that we are at an inflection point. So 17 of 24 most impactful technologies were invented in the last 200 years. So you can see this is a little bit small, but 10,000 years ago, there was an agricultural revolution. And then after that, there's thousands of years in between, and then you have paper, the printing press, etc. But if you look at the last 200 years, you'll see lots of inventions that affected the planet and also the humanity. And this trend will accelerate even more with the super intelligent AI. So as you are already using ChatGPT, Claude, Grok on a daily basis, you see that AI is improving on an unprecedented pace. And this will only accelerate with quantum computing. So how AI improves its capacity is through learning, through simulations. And with quantum computing, you can have 1,000 more times, or 10,000, 100,000, million more times of learning materials that can absorb, and you can increase the capacity. So this will solve many of the problems like climate change or health-related issues. So one example I want to mention is climate change. So through, at the moment, this issue is highly politicized. So different governments talking to each other, how much carbon emission that they can have in their countries, etc. But I believe that this can be a technical issue, technological challenge in the future with quantum computing and also AI. So these emerging technology will deliver real solutions to climate change. For example, direct air capture. At the moment, it's too expensive. At the moment, it takes too much time. There are many challenges, but this could be also solved by accelerating this innovation. Nuclear fusion. Nuclear fusion can give us unlimited supply of energy, which is clean and safe. And smart grids, AI will manage efficiently how we maintain and produce energy. Okay, and also health-related issues. Many of these diseases will have better solutions. So with quantum computing, with AI, they can actually create new medicines, new solutions to, for example, cancer or heart diseases. And this will extend human life and the quality of life. And some people even say that we can defeat death at some certain point in the future. However, we face another challenge. Once we solve one challenge, we face another challenge, which is the privacy issue. So, for example, brain-computer interface that can actually maybe read what you're feeling, what you're thinking about. And this is the deepest secret of something that you don't want to share. Not just search history, not just your data that you store on the computer, but actually there are deeper data that you don't want to share. And this is where Midnight comes in, and Midnight can ensure that your privacy is protected. And that's what Ben is going to talk about briefly after this talk. And blockchain-based, privacy-focused blockchain is going to be the future, very important in the future. So, as you can see, in 2050, many of the problems will be of human nature, not technical issues. And some of the issues that we expect to remain is inequality or discrimination, mental health, governance. And these are some of the issues that even the highest technology, like the best technology, is the world of Doraemon. We will still have these issues of inequality, discrimination, mental health, and governance. The issues of 2050 will be of the human mind and spirit. So people will also need meaning, connection, purpose, and this is going to be a hot topic in 2050. And I want to illustrate with one example. So this is one example that technology actually solved the problem, but we are still facing because of the human element. Food safety. So we currently produce way more enough food for all 8 billion people living on the planet. However, 733 million people today are facing hunger. That's 1 in 11 people. So we have about 30 people here, about 3 people will be facing hunger here. That's a lot of people. And this is not because we're not producing enough food for everyone, it's because of conflict, because of inequality, discrimination, distribution. So these are some of the things that we may be able to solve through better governance using maybe Cardano blockchain, education, etc. So we have 2 solutions for this in the future, education and collaboration. And the collaboration part is what we are working on, right? So 10 years ago, Charles did a TED talk on the future will be decentralized. And in his TED talk, he talked about banking the unbanked and also using blockchain technology to improve the systems of collaboration, improve the economic, political, and social systems for everyone, everywhere. So that's something we are striving towards. And this is where blockchain is going to be very important in the future. In 2050, we mentioned different technologies like quantum computing, AI, but blockchain is another technology that is going to be super important in 2050, and especially I believe that people will be using Cardano for this purpose, for collaboration, for governance, and making better decisions. And we talked about these different technologies and challenges, and we have the world's best minds to talk about these issues. For example, Audrey Tang, she was a former digital minister of Taiwan, and she will talk about their ethics and how in 2050 we can manage the issue of governance in the plural society. And Hector Zeno, Anna Semunica, they all, and also Hajime Hotta, they're all AI experts who can talk about how super intelligent AI can eradicate diseases and suffering. And we have an expert of nuclear fusion, Takaya Taguchi, and their company is trying to commercialize nuclear fusion energy by 2034. And we have Ken Shibusawa, I think many of Japanese people know. He is the grandson of the person who is on your 10,000 yen bill. Yeah, which one? Shibusawa H is grandson. And we have experts like Michael Levin. He is someone who is the closest to Nobel Prize for medicine, for bioelectricity research. And we also have our Charles Hoskinson. So just to disclaimer is that Charles and Fred, they are interested in coming. They're just making sure that they have time, and like we are finalizing their participation. But Philip and Ken Kodama already confirmed, and we have the opportunity to have actually 3 founding entities in Japan, actually for the first time, with Philip on board in Japan. So this event is going to be much bigger than Cardano Summit. Cardano Summit's size is about 800 people, and here we have 2,000 people with all 3 entities. With Intersect will have the booth at the event, and hopefully we can also bridge gaps and collaborate together with all 3 founding entities. So if you want to join us in this historic moment, please, you can read this QR code. And we have this early bird ticket. So it's only 3,500 yen until the end of this month. So if you want to get this ticket, you can read this QR code and you can buy it with ADA or with your credit card. And another option is that we have our tokens, or socio tokens. If you delegate to one of our pools, you can get, you can buy this ticket, but also you have exclusive access. So this is only for socio token holders that you can get this access to VIP room, and you can reserve seats. So if you want to maybe talk to the guests that I mentioned, and if you want to network with VIP guests, please read this QR code. And only for people who are attending today, we have special gifts. So if you buy today, and if you show the proof to one of our staff members, then we also give this leisure wallet. This is new, and it's Cardano branded leisure wallet. So if you want to join this event, you can read this QR code. Thank you so much, and I'm happy to answer any questions. Thank you. Any questions? Any questions? No questions? Then we can pass the mic to Ben, and he will talk a bit about Midnight. And I'm sure, and as many of our community members, we have so many questions about Midnight's airdrop, and yeah, so take it away.
I can do it in Japanese. Is the audience all?
No, I think they won't hear so.
とりあえずじゃあ日本語でやりますよ、別にトランスレーションはいらないんで。もともと今日はプレゼンする予定なかったんですけど、もともと今日はプレゼンする予定なかったんですけど、まあ、ちょうど日本にいるからちょっとまあ出ようかなと思ってます。来週から、メンナイファウンデーションのファーミンと一緒に日本の、まあ、いろんなパートナーとかと、 回って挨拶しようと思ってます。これすでに何回も挨拶していて、で、これで3回目で彼らと話して、これからそのミッドナイト日本でどういうふうに、展開していくかということを相談するという形です。で、来週の金曜日の夜、1回正式なイベントを開催する予定なんですけど、ソーシアス経由からちょっと、皆さんにちょっとリンクを送って、参加できるようにしたいと思います。多分ミッドナイトのことについては、もうみんなもうご存知ですか？はい、ミッドナイトは今、IoT をリードしているチャールズが、これから新しくローンチするブロックチェーンなんですけど、で、すみません、これが、さっき話したイベントなんですけど、後で、ソーシアスから、ちょっとリンクをお送りします。来週の金曜日の夜、開催する予定です。このルーマのリンクをクリックして、レジストレーションすれば参加できるという形になります。100席なんで、もう今朝これをやり始めたら、もう3分の1ぐらいも埋めちゃったので、早めにサインアップしてもらいたいですね。で、ミッドナイトの話なんですけど、ミッドナイトはチャールズが考え出した次のNext Generation ブロックチェーンと本人が言ってて、で、メインポイントは、今までブロックチェーンはインタープライズユースで使われてほしいんですけど、なかなか使えてないっていうのがありまして、で、なぜできてないかっていうと、結構今までのブロックチェーンは、トランスパレンシーが非常に追求されてて、もう透明性っていうことで、データが丸見えっていう形になっちゃってるんですね。で、そうなると、企業とかでもうあまり使えなくなるっていうか、データが見えすぎて使いづらくなるっていうことなんで、そこで一つ乗り越えるテクノロジーを、ZK テクノロジー、Zero Knowledge Proof のテクノロジーを入れて、データが管理できるようにして、新しいブロックチェーンをローンチするっていう話で、ミッドナイトを開発しました。で、インタープライズユースでもう一つの悩んでるポイントは、今までのブロックチェーンは結構ガバナンストークンを使ってギャストークンとして使われるんですけど、そうなると、ギャストークンのコストはこれからどうなるか全然わからないんですね。例えば、イーセリアムであり、ソラーナであり、今年からデータベース作って、事業法人をそれを持って、じゃあ来年でこのデータベースいくらするんですか、再来年になったらいくらするんですかって、正直で誰もわかりません。なぜかというと、来年のイーセリアムの値段、再来年のイーセリアムの値段、あるいはソラーナの値段、誰もわからないので、ギャスプライスがわからないとなると、じゃあ、インタープライズユースとしては使えないんですね。使いづらいんですね。ですから、ミッドナイトのシステムは、ミッドナイトブロックチェーンの中で、ガバナンストークンとギャストークンを別々にすることになっています。ナイトトークンというトークンがあって、それがガバナンストークンで、通常のトークンと同じように、あともう一つはダストークンという一つがあって、でダストークンは、ギャスとして使われます。ナイト持ってる人は定期的にダストを送られていくんですけど、で定期的にその、5日間か1週間か忘れたんですけど、消えちゃうんですね。賞味期限があるものという形になるんで、しかもダストークンは、トランスファーできないという形なんで、そういう意味では投資する対象ではないので、特にギャスとして使う以外で、利用する方法はないので、ある意味取引されないので、そういう意味ではその値段というものはつかないので、安定していくということですね。で、最初から、ナイトいっぱい持てればずっと永遠にギャストークンが送られてくるのでずっと使えます。でもちろんナイト手放したら時間経つと、ダストークンもなくなるということは承知のところなんですけど、そういう仕組みになっているんですね。でその2つあって、で、3つ目の大きいポイントは、チャールズはもう自腹で自分のお金を使ってこのブロックチェーンを開発したんですね。で、スピンアウトして、で、これからその皆さんにそのトークンを配るということになっているんですね。で、配るときは、Cardanoではなくて他のブロックチェーンを配っていて、それでみんな仲良くしようという気持ちでやろうとしています。そういう意味では、8ブロックチェーンに、配る予定なんですけど、ビットコイン、セリアム、ソラーナ、BNB、アバランチ、 ベーシックアテンションコイン、もちろんあとXRP リボですね、これ8個かな。それでみんなに配るということになるんですけど、カーダの方では多めらしいんですけど、そういう形になってます。このエアドロップは自動的に送っていくよりも、クレームの形になりますので、7月から多分7月中旬から、60日間で、こういういくつのウォレットを持っている人たちはクレームプロセスフォローして、クレームすることになって、でメインネットローンチするとき、エアドロップとして受けられるようになります。で実際そのエアドロップするときは、4回に分けて4分の1ずつもらうことになってるんですけど、3ヶ月ごとにもらえるという形で、この辺のディテールは、さっきのページを出していただきます。この一連の話はすでにこのミッドナイトネットワーク、これじゃないな、もう一つミッドナイトのエアドロップのホームページなんですよ。そうです、グレーシアドロップ。すみません。そうですね、グレーシアドロップの専用のホームページ実はあるんで、そこで今回話いろいろ書いてありまして、あとはそのスナップショットの話もすでに決まってて、今週発表したんですけど、6月11日時点でもうスナップショットして、でその時のウォレットの中身を数字を使ってやってます。ちょっと違いますね。すみません、後でリンクをお送りします。大体です。そうですね、はい、これです。はい、すみません、ミッドナイトドット GD ですね、はい、ミッドナイトドット GD で、それグレーシャードロップのホームページで、それで、ディストリビューションの話、細かく書いてありますんで、一応、ミッドナイトチームにこれ、日本語版作ってくださいって頼んでありますけど、まだできてないんですけど、はい、これ、今週の月曜日、発表してて、あとは、そのスナップショットの日にちも6月11日ということが決まったので、それも発表したんですけど、でその日のウォレットで、$100以上の分のトークンを持っていれば、もう8個のブロックチェーンで$100以上の分の持っていれば、しかもウォレットがセンクションされてなければ、そのエアドロップをクオリファイします。で、7月中旬に入ってから、クレームしに行って、で、メインネットローンするときは4回に分けてもらえる形になります。メインネットローンチは今11月を予想しています。それは大雑把な、ディテールで、この中にもうちょっと細かくそのトークノミクスをいろいろ書いてあって、エアドロップは最初のドロップ以外で、あと他の方法でみんなにもらえる方法もあるんですけど、一応もしよかったら見てください。そうですね、私からは以上です。はい、もしなんか質問あったらまた聞いてください。
いいですか。ガス代をこう継続的に支払うためにはどのくらいナイトを保持しとけば安心とか目安とかあります？
ですね、一定のミッドナイトで一定の、ギャス代、ダストトークンが出るということなんですけど、具体的な数字僕正直わからないんですけど、僕金融の方やってて、テクノロジーの方やってなくて、その金額はちょっとわからないんですね。で、しかもそのどのぐらいのダストが必要かっていうのも実は正直わからないんで、これから皆さんナイトを使って開発するとき、そこで決まっていくんではないかと思うんですね。で、今回は8チェーンにエアドロップするというのは、カーダノだけではなくて、例えば、ソロナのデベロッパーでも、プライバシーが必要なとき、ZK が必要なときは、ミンナイトを使って、ダストを払えばその機能も使えるような形で、そういうような考え方で作られてるんですね。イセリオンでもそうですし、ソランでもそうですし、アバランシでもそうですし、一応いろんなブロックチェーンを、ミンナイトが使えるようにしていきたいということで、そういうデザインになってます。はい、どうぞ。
今ちょうど多分メールの件でちょっと気になってまして、
はい、
インコアットマークミッドナイト TG.io って本物公式でしょうか、それとも偽物なんでしょうか、今それが多分もしかしたら、気になっている、私の彼はですね、こういう感じで来ていまして、
それどこから
わかんないです、これが多分、
はい、
なんかリマインダーとかでこうクリックがあるような感じであるんですよ。これが今多分本物なのかどうなのかってコミュニティで騒いでる可能性が。
あ、そうですか、先生。転送していただきました。調べます。はい、ちょっとみんなと連絡して調べます。そういうのはちょっと心配しているんですよ。
そうですね。
このプロセスはちょっと。
我々もその非公式からその
そういかないように。そうですね。それはそうですね。はい。
ライトウォレット以外で引き出す方法として CLI コマンドでこう引き出すとか、そういうライトウォレット以外のウォレットでも引き出すことは可能になるんでしょうか。
その辺確認します。ちょっと僕は分かんないんですけど、なんかここに書いてある方法以外もいくつの方法があるんですね。今、取引所とかと話してて、もうちょっといいやり方がないかという相談は一応受けてます。取引所によるんですよ、というか、コストデンによるんですけど、いっぱいのお客さんに、いくつのでかいウォレットでオムニバスでキープするお客さんもいるんですけど、お客さんごとにウォレット、もう10万個のウォレットを持っているというお客さんもいるんで、そっちで1個ずつ、ね、手入力でクレームするというのもちょっと無理なんで、なんかもっといい方法ないかという相談を受けて、一応方法はあるらしいんですけど、どういう形でアクセスするかというちょっとこれから相談して。
じゃあこれから新しい方法も出てくる。
新しい方法というか、ある意味カストディエン対応のもうちょっとなんか効率のいい方法はあるはずです。それが、皆さんが使えるかどうかというのは、相談しに行きたいと思います。細かいところ、僕には言ってないんですけど、すみません、ちょっと自己紹介忘れたんですけど、ベンジャミン・サイと申します。僕はウェーブディジタルアセッツの方のやっておりまして、で、IO グローバルとかミッドナイトの方のサポートをしていて、で、一応日本の取引所と付き合いがあるから、今回ミッドナイトのローンチで僕はその辺をいろいろ手伝ったりしています。そういう意味では正式なミッドナイトの人間ではないので、ちょっとその辺テクノロジーの方をちょっといろいろ調べたいと思います。
これコミュニティの方から質問がいくつか上がっていて、特にその取引所で例えばビットポイントとか、ビットバンクとかで ADA を管理している方が、少なくなくて、で6月11日までに自分のセルフコスティウォレットに引き出してない人で、まだ取引所にある方は何かその救済措置といいますか、その取引所が何か
ですね、それ今僕も含めて調べています。で、海外の取引所ですと、もしかして何もないとか、もらえないとか、そういういろいろ海外ではちょっと僕は分からないんですけど、一応日本の取引所全部話しに行ったんですね。で、基本的に日本の取引所は、レギュレーション上で、カストリアンでもあるので、彼らはクレームするかクレームしないかっていうところがあって、クレームしないなら何もないんですけど、クレームしたら、お客様に渡さないといけないんですね。その自分のポケットに入れるっていうシナリオはないです。とはいえそれで一応クレームするということはみんなは言っているので、一応努力してお客様には出すという方向で言ってます。ちょっと保証できないんですけど、で、一つちょっと細かい話になっちゃうんですけど、ちょっと議論してるのは、ミッドナイトはもちろん JBCA の登録も何もないんです。まだメインネットになってないから、登録も何もないので、取引所は実際お客様に渡せるかどうかっていうのはみんなちょっと悩んでるんですね。で、人によって、その会社によってコンプライアンス上はできるかできないか、ちょっと今、揉めてるというのは強いかもしれない、ちょっと考え中なんですね。で、できなかったらちょっと寂しい話で、海外の取引所で売って現金を、お客様に渡すとか、そういうシナリオはあり得る。もちろん海外も上場してないならどうしようもないんですけど、一応メインネットをローンチしてエアドロップ始めてから海外の取引所もし流動性があるんだったらそこに売って、その価値があって現金でお客様に渡すという形にはなるんですけど、取引所も別にそれやりたくないんですよね。ある意味エクスチェンジからお金が出ちゃうということで、やっぱ キープしたいっていう気持ちがあるので、まあ、彼らもそれやりたくないんですね。で、とりあえずクレームして、で実際エアドロップするときは受けるタイミングを遅らすっていうことはできますので、まあ、本当に6ヶ月とか1年待ってて、最後の一括で全部4回分を最後でもらったりして、でその時はもし上場できるなら、もう普通にお客様に渡せるし、トレーニングできるし、まあ、いろいろできるようになるので、一応時間を稼ぐ方法は僕は彼らにも提案したりして、それをやり取りをしています。そういう意味では、まあ、前回2ヶ月前来て取引所もあってこの話してて、もう今週もう一回、来週もう一回話する予定です。でも取引所みんな、真剣に考えて一応対応したいという気持ちが強いです。お客様みんな、まあ、体ので、まあ、ポジティブな経験があったので、まあ、みんなの方もポジティブでサポートしたいと思ってます。はい、
じゃあ、日本の取引所でナイトトークンが上場する可能性も感触というか。
一応僕からしてくださいと言ってやりますけど、まあ、それはどうなるかわからないですけど、まあはいはい、一応彼らは、まあ、興味がありますね。やっぱり体のポジティブな体験してみんなは、まあ、これを持ってたりする、トレーディングしたりすることも考えたりしています。はい、で日本の取引所でも結構その海外の流動性を使ってるけど、まあ、海外の取引所はリスティングしてくれるかどうかとか、その辺の議論もありますし、で結局結構いろんななんか、まあ、連動している部分があるんで、まあ、ちょっと保証できないんですけど、一応その辺も考えたりしています。まあ、もうちょっとより細かい話になるんですけど、日本のマーケットでも JBCA は大体その普通のトークンなら本当にメインネットになって時間経って安定しててプロジェクトが動いていることになってからまあ、上場できるかできないかという判断をするんですけど、まあ、今回まだ全然メインネットになってないからじゃあどうするかという話は正直にあって、それで取引所と話してて一応そのCardano関連ですし、チャールズのプロジェクトですしっていうような、まあ、話で、まあ、リスティングを検討はしてくれるではないかと思います。で、まあ、JBCA のことなんで、まあ、どのぐらいタイミングかかるかちょっと誰も言えないと思います。
ありがとうございます。
はい、ちょっと気になってるんですけど、この受け取り方法の感じをちょっと聞きたいんですけど、まあ、ホットウォレットは多分普通に使えると思うんですが、ハードウェアウォレットに関してですが、
はい、
その、まあ、ハードウェアウォレットでも例えばそのクレームのページにできるとのことでしょうか。ハードウェアウォレット
のはずですけど、
はい、
もうそのテクノロジーをちょっとわからないで確認しないといけないんですけど、はい、
ぜひお願いしたいです。そのハードウェアウォレットの方も結構いらっしゃいますので、
はい、そうですね。まあ一応ハードウェアウォレットはまあできると思いますので、はい、
ありがとうございます。
確認します。はい。
秘密鍵とかパスフレーズとかあると思うんですけど、そのウォレットで管理してるそのウォレットの種類がいろいろあると思うんですけど、
はい、
そのパスフレーズで管理してるその CIP30 を忘れたんですけど、
はい、
そういうウォレットだけなのか、その普通の秘密鍵で管理してる、
はい、
なんかその難しい一連のその
Cフレーズがあるものとか、はいはいはい。
それはもうその種類関係なくそのスナップショットというのは取られたのか。
ウォレットは全部スナップショットを撮ったんですけど、今ちょっと難しいポイントで、そこ僕もちょっと理解しきれてないポイントは、どういうふうに、みんなチームに私はウォレットのオーナーで、そういうベリフィケーションのところでどうやってやればいいかってちょっと多分いろいろ議論が出てくるんですね。なんか CIP30 のウォレットはできるけど、じゃあ他のウォレットはできるかっていう話は一つあって、で、まあ、もっとややこしくするとなると、今8ブロックチェーンがあって、ブロックチェーンごとにいろんなウォレット種類があるから、全部対応するの、どうやって全部対応するのとか、そういうのいろいろ正直取引所から僕にも聞かれているところなんで、その辺は、まあ、みんなチームがどういうふうに対応するか、ちょっと調べていきたいと思います。
最初にそのウォレットにその、まあ、NFT かなんか知らないですけど、そのバウチャーチケットみたいなのがその送られてくるってことです。それを元にしてその交換所で。
いや、多分大雑把な話になっちゃうんですけど、何らかのウォレットをその8ブロックチェーンの中のどっちかを 100ドル分以上持っていて、そのウォレットを私のウォレットですよということをクレームしに行って、でその時、じゃあカーダノウォレットのフレッシュカーダノウォレットのアドレスを入れて、でエアドロップのタイミングになったら、そのさっき入れたフレッシュカーダノウォレットにエアドロップが入るという形になります。でもその間の NFT とかその話はないですね。はい。
よくわかりました。
じゃあもう一つ。
はい、どうぞ。はい。
私 SPO なんですけども、
はい、
プールにプレッジっていう感じでエーダを保管してまして、
はいはい、
でそこでもペイメントアドレス、一般のホットウォレットが違うんですけど、まあ、そこで多分スナップショット取られて、その分だけに多分会社がされていると思うんですけど、まあ、それもなんか技術的にそのなんかクレームにつなぐっていうのをやられていらっしゃるんでしょうか。
ステーキングプール関係ないんじゃないかなと思うんですね。だってステーキングプールは、カストリオステーキングじゃないから、まあ、実際トークン持ってるのをお客様が持ってるから、まあ、ステーキングしてもしなくても関係なくクレームできるではないかと思うんですけど。
ステーキプールには、ペイメントアドレスとステーキングですよ。
はい
ペイメントの方に多分制約がかかってるんですけど、
まあそうですね。
そこから、プレシャルのナイトトークンがあるのかどうなのかっていうことを多分気にしている。多分飛んでいますよね。
そう。正直は分かります。ちょっとなんか今考えてるんですけど、ステーキングは例えばですね、ビットポイントのステーキング違いやってるんですよ。ですから、とはいえ別にビットポイントのカーダノはビットポイント持ってるんで、別にウェーブは全く持ってないし、ウェーブ海外ですし、トークン海外には持ってないんですよね。ですから私たちはステーキングのキーだけを持っていて、実際そのオーナーシップのキー別にもらってないし、コントロールは全くないんですね。だからそっちのキーでクレームすると思うんですよ。だからステーキングのキーでクレームっていう話は何もないので、そういうような話は別々ではないかと思います。
可能性としては多分、できそうではあり
そうです、そうです。ですからステーキングしたからクレームできないという話はないと思います。
以上で皆様何かありますでしょうか。大丈夫ですね。
Last chance. Final question?
Final question.
Final question.
FAQ のページできましたよね。そちらの。
はい。
その FAQ のところに、どっか、載ってないようなクエスチョンが質問と回答があったら、ちょっと知りたいっていうのがあったら、そこのどっかに送れば。そう増える可能性というか、その答えていただける。
下にあります。そうですよね。どっかに
単純にそういう新しい質問なんか出てきてる。どうですか。
ちょっと確認します。どこにそのフィードバックしてっていうか質問を出せるっていうのをちょっと確認します。はい。それでもあった方がいいと思いますし、で、まあ、その FAQ どんどん追加しちゃってもいいと思いますし、多分他の人たちもみんな似たような質問が出てくると思いますので、私たちもその取引所と話してからも技術の面でいろいろ質問があって、正直言ってテクノロジーの話はもう直接みんなとのテクノロジーチームとつないで話しているんで、僕その間に絡めてないんですけど、そうですね、ちょっと後でそれします。
はい。じゃあ、以上でしょうか。じゃあ、本日は今日皆さんありがとうございました。一旦じゃあ休憩進める？さんわかりました。じゃあ、少々ください。で休憩はまあなしとしてそのままじゃあ進めたいと思います。休憩行きたい方は次行ってください。次ですね、IoT の教育チームの方にですね、プレゼンやっていただきたいと思いますので、よろしくお願いします。まず日本語ちょっと喋って、ですね。はい。ダーさん、お願いします。Thank you. はい、3つ目のプレゼンはIoG 教育チームの村さんからです。カルダノの教育の最新情報と最近の動向について共有いたします。それでは原さん、よろしくお願いします。
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Should I manually click these slides or copy? Right. Okay. So thank you very much for coming and for giving us the opportunity to talk. So we asked what we should talk about, and I think you asked us to talk about ourselves. So I want to explain who we are and what the education team is doing. But that being said, of course, if you have any questions about Cardano, then feel free to ask us. Because we would rather talk about, like explaining things than talking about ourselves. Right, so that's us. So 6 of us, 5 of us are here. So we are 10 people, I believe. Right. So I'm the director of education. So sorry, am I supposed to do this myself? The ticking or?
Can you try scrolling?
Okay.
Oh, that's something else. I mean, I can do it myself. Just tell me which button to press. It's fine, yeah. Right, so 5 of us are here because we were running Cardano Days event at the Institute for Science Tokyo, former Tokyo Tech, this week. And so we are part of the education team. I'm the education director, and education has always been very important for IoG. And
You can wait, you can wait.
Thanks. Right. So, education. So I'm the director of education. I have my name is Lars. I have a technical background. I'm a mathematician by training, and started working on Cardano as a Haskell developer. So Haskell is a functional programming language that we use almost exclusively in the beginning for Cardano technology. And then I basically separated to education. And education has always been very important to for IoG. And I mean, the motto of IoG is making the unbanked, so bringing financial services to 3 billion people that don't have them. And of course, in order to do this, I mean, it doesn't help if you have the best technology in the world if nobody knows how to use it. And it doesn't help if you have the best technology in the world if nobody knows how to build projects on it, like the socials, for example. So education is very important, both for the end users, but also for the developers and projects that build on it. And Charles has always been very aware of that, and it has always been very close to his heart to education. Right. I read yesterday, or ChatGPT told me it's very bad form in Japan to talk about yourself, so you should probably stop that. So as I said, right, but I should say that, I mean, I mentioned my own technical background, and most of my colleagues also come from the technical side. So we prefer to do, or it's closer to our heart to do like really technical education, explain the technology, explain the programming languages, how things work technically. So yeah, we are sort of nerds. And you also see that in the quality of the slides, so it's not very polished, but we always believe that.
Please, please, yeah, a little behind him, it would be good.
Behind him?
Yeah, if that's possible.
If I lose some pounds, probably.
Yeah, yeah, better.
Where was I? Yeah, so technical stuff. So we're better at that. We enjoy it more. And it's not very polished, but I mean, that's, we sort of believe more in technology and science and less in marketing things. Right, and we do different things at IOG, and that has also, I mean, in the education direction, it has also changed over the years. So there's, and I will go into more detail with those points later. So mission-based education, developer education, internal IoT education, and collaborations. So the thing, yeah. So mission-based education, that's basically how it started for me personally at least. So I mentioned Haskell before, the programming language we are using, which is very close to mathematics. So it's particularly suited for Cardano. I mean, we often say Cardano is science first blockchain. So in contrast to basically every other blockchain, we first do the solid scientific research, publish in peer-reviewed papers, present on conferences, and only then take the scientific results and translate them into code. But there's, I mean, even if your science is perfect, there's still an issue because, I mean, you have to somehow get from the science to engineering. And there's like a translation that has to happen because the cryptographers and mathematicians that develop the science, they normally wouldn't be able to program if their life depended on it. And I mean, the engineers normally get hit a headache when they see an integral sign or something. So there's like sort of a communication gap. And Haskell makes that particularly painless because Haskell is sort of a version of math almost. So it's easier to go from the formulas and the published papers to the actual code when you use Haskell. That was one of the original motivations. Plus Haskell, I mean at IOG we also believe in formal methods, which means basically proving that our code is correct, not just testing it, but actually mathematically proving it. And formal methods also somehow are easier to do. It's still very difficult, but easier to do with Haskell. So for whatever reason, I believe it was very good reasons, Charles decided to go with Haskell. And in the beginning, I mean, the problem with Haskell is that there are not very many Haskell developers. So you have like 100 times more JavaScript developers than Haskell developers. I think that's not necessarily a bug, but could be a feature. But anyway, so we were always looking for Haskell people, and therefore we decided at some point to train our own. So basically, go to universities, various countries, take bright young people and train them in Haskell, and then try to recruit them. So that's how this first Haskell course back in 2017 came about in Athens in Greece. That was sort of a trial building. But from the beginning, it has always been not just recruitment for us, it has always also been a way of building bridges and opening, basically proving that we are serious about things. So it has always been a way of IOG to go to a country or to a university or some, basically say, give us our best, your best and brightest, we train them in some interesting technology, and then afterwards you can either work for us, or even if you don't, you are like highly qualified to get like exciting opportunities. And combined with the thing that we are a decentralized company at IOG, so I mean often there's this problem with brain drain if you go to a country and the best and brightest often emigrate to the US or Europe or Japan, I suppose. And in our case, that's not necessary. So basically, the people we train would stay where they were, benefit the local communities, and still work for us. So that was always the idea. So the first course was in Athens. It was for 2 months at the National Technical University of Athens. It was basically just to see how it goes. And then we did it again shortly after, only half a year later, so beginning of 2018 on Barbados, University of the West Indies, again 2 months. I don't know if any of you knows Phil Bottler, that's the guy in the Superman costume. So he is like quite famous in the computer science community. He is like an advisor for IOG. And that's the guy with the dementia. I had the honor to help him Right. Then this was like for me personally my highlight. So in 2019 we did again 3 months course actually in Ethiopia, and that was actually that was actually an all-female class. I think that was International Year of the Woman. So I had the honor to teach 24 Ethiopian and Ugandan women how to program in Haskell. And that was, I mean, for me personally, it was very impactful, very meaningful. And I mean, those people were not like, some of them were computer science professors at local universities. I mean, some of them had jobs. And they did a lot of, personal sacrifice to attend this course. So some of them had families that were living thousands of kilometers away. And so they gave up a lot and went through a lot to attend this class. But I think it was very successful. So a lot of them actually ended up working for IOG afterwards. And it paved the way for contact between IOG and the Ethiopian government. And so yeah, I mean, that's what I meant earlier, that it was not just recruitment, but also building bridges and building trust between IOG and countries like Ethiopia, for example. So yeah, it was like one of my personal highlights. And then we wanted to continue that. So the next plan was to do something similar in Mongolia, but then unfortunately COVID happened. So we still did the course, but not live, instead online. And one of my colleagues that's also here, so it's like a result of that course. So he was the star student there, and we recruited him for education. And then we did another one, 2023, in Nairobi, but that we didn't do for 2 months. We only were there for 2 weeks and did the rest online. But that was also very nice. So this is from Nairobi. That's from 2023. Yeah. Right. And after that, so that was the initial focus. Basically, these Haskell courses as a combination of recruitment for us and like reaching out and building trust. And then at that time, somehow Cardano took off and the capabilities improved and smart contracts came to Cardano in the form of Plutus. And then it became important for developers to understand Plutus, to be able to build projects that use smart contracts on Cardano. So then our focus shifted to basically education of, not just for our own developers to develop Cardano, but to develop on Cardano. So training developers that can build projects on Cardano. And also these Cardano days, but that's a bit newer. I think we've been doing those for 1 year, 2 years. Okay. So probably I should talk about that first. So that's the reason we are here now this week. So the idea is to collaborate with a university that has some interest in Cardano, and then they invite us and we go there for 1 or 2 days and do like an introduction to Cardano on a relatively high level, so that everybody, not just computer science people or mathematicians or engineers, benefit from it, but basically everybody. So we have people that were just interested or come from all sorts of backgrounds, like finance or law or whatever. So the idea is to give a variety of talks at different technical levels, just explain what blockchain is in general, what makes Cardano special, what are smart contracts, how to run a node. So it's like a variety of topics. And we have done that for 2 years now, and we're all over the world, and it's quite successful. So I think there are some examples. Let us go further down.
That's from Malta.
Yeah, if this is Malta, right. So we've done it in Mexico, Malta, Wyoming in the US, in Spain, Florida, and now in Japan as well. Okay. Right, and it's like these short events, 1 or 2 days. Remember, in contrast, these original Haskell courses were like 3 months, so we are flexible. We can do like very intense deep dives or also these overviews as well. It's just some pictures that's from Malta. They did there. You can go ahead. Yeah, just go ahead. This was in Mexico. course now this week. There, I just want to point out that this picture, sorry, that one. So we're very proud of that. So Jesse has this mobile Cardano lab. So he has a big suitcase, but not too big, and 16 nodes. So 16 nodes, Cardano nodes fit into this suitcase. And so we're always worried about him, how he gets it through customs. But so far he didn't have massive problems. And it's always fun demonstrating that. And it's a beautiful example of how superior Cardano is to, say, Bitcoin. I mean, if you wanted 16 Bitcoin nodes, then you certainly would need a really big suitcase, like more like a factory of 16 degrees. And this runs on the energy of like a traditional light bulb or something? Three light bulbs. Right. And it looks pretty. I mean, lots of blinking lights, and it's a nice way to like make it more tangible, the whole thing. Right. Right, and so I got ahead of myself earlier. So as I said, when Cardano gathered more capabilities, in particular smart contracts, then we shifted from this Haskell education, focus on Haskell education, more to training developers, and had a couple of courses in developing on Cardano. For example, Malo, which was or is like a smart contract language, a simple one that's specialized to financial contracts. In particular, Plutus. So Plutus is the smart contract language of Cardano, and it's close to my heart because it's basically Haskell or a variant of Haskell. So I like teaching it. I mean, by now there are alternatives to using Plutus, like Icon, for example. But I mean, when it started, you had to do Plutus if you wanted to write smart contracts on Cardano. And it was very exciting. I mean, first of all, basically we had the chance to teach literally thousands of developers to build exciting projects on Cardano. And it was also interesting because, I mean, technically challenging because we had to teach it, so obviously we had to learn it first, and we had to try it, because we can only teach something that we yourself understand. So we were sort of the first testers of Plutus, and so we also were like in close collaboration with the Plutus team, and that was quite interesting. So I don't know whether they still have it, but for a couple of years, basically the examples we developed for this course were in the benchmark suite and were like the most complex Plutus programs that have ever been written at that point. Right, and also, I mean, Jesse, for example, does a course for like node operations, stateful operators, the set key proofs, which is of course highly relevant for Midnight. That's a course we're working on right now. So yeah, we are obviously, I mean, we still have the old ones that we update, but we obviously also adapt to new developments. So like the ZK proofs now. Right. So yeah, this is more detailed. So we like train developers. So Plutus I just mentioned. Atala is the old name for what's now Hyperledger Identitas, which is what Socius is basically based on. I think we did a survey once, and I think 60% of all Cardano projects went through the Plutus Pioneer program. So we are quite proud of that. So sort of most people went through our training. Yeah, so there's 8,000 students and whatever. So yeah, we have quite a big reach. And just so this program. So this slide deck is a little bit outdated. I didn't develop that for this particular. So I'm sure. Did we have a fifth iteration, or was that the last one? Okay, we did. So that's still the last one. But right. But nevertheless, this is the slide deck. I think is a year old or something. Yeah. Right. So we also, I mean, Plutus was like our flagship thing, but we also teach other. I mean, by now it's called. I mean, Pioneers was because the people in the course were the first people ever that actually did like smart contracts in Cardano. So it seemed fit, but now we rebranded to Cardano Developer Course. So not Pioneers anymore, and it's also not restricted to Plutus. As I mentioned, by now there are other alternatives to Plutus, like Icon. So we teach that as well. Midnight, it's not clear yet whether we will actually do that or whether the Midnight team does it themselves. but I mean, we will implement. Malo, as I mentioned, was or is this DSL for financial contracts. So on. Then also Haskell, I've talked a lot about Haskell, and in order to do Plutus, I mentioned it's a version of Haskell. So that was actually quite a steep learning curve for my pioneers, the first couple of iterations. I mean, I tried to explain the necessary Haskell, but it was still difficult. And then actually, I think Robertino, like before he worked for us, saw this problem and decided to, like, by out of his own initiative, create a Haskell course to give people the necessary preliminaries that they needed to do a Plutus Pioneer program. And then we were so impressed by him that we hired him. But I mean, after we hired him, he like developed this further, so that's what we call the Haskell Bootcamp. So now we have nice videos that teach people Haskell that want to get serious with Plutus. Okay. Yeah, so we also have thousands of students, get very popular, very got, I mean, very nice feedback. Yeah. Right, and we also, yes, a bit more. So we also collaborate with like academia for, I mean, various universities. I mean, for example, Malta, I mentioned we did the Cardano event there. Also, before that I did some guest lectures there on smart contracts. Wyoming, we have done something similar, and now Institute of Science Tokyo. We also had, I think that's on the next slide, work with various institutions to help them with like this European Business University of Luxembourg. We help them with their blockchain curriculum, same with this Yeovil College. So yeah, sometimes we do that, and it mentions business collaboration, so we have also worked with companies basically to help them with educating their employees, for example. So that stuff we also do. Yeah, and that's probably not very interesting for you, but just for completeness sake, we don't only do external education, we also educate our own people, so we train our own engineers and have like math courses and demos and stuff like that. Right, and this is one thing I should mention, mastering Cardano. So Charles has always been totally jealous that there's mastering Bitcoin and mastering Ethereum and no mastering Cardano. So we have actually spent like the last years writing that, and we're now very close to publishing it, finally. And it didn't take so long because we were so slow, it was mostly a nightmare to find a publisher, but anyway, we have one now. And actually I was tasked by my boss to ask you how important it would be to have a Japanese translation of that, or of how much interest that would be, because we actually wrote it in English, obviously. So do you think it would be worth it to get a Japanese translation? You think so? Right. Okay. Yeah, so I mean, it's not been publicly announced yet, so you mustn't tell anyone. But I was supposed to ask, so how must I ask if I don't say? So we hope we can announce that at Rare Evo, so we are very close. Yeah, we have other like things, but I'm not sure the DIRA that already exists.
Yeah, that was already delivered. Yeah.
So as I said, the slides are a bit outdated. So that already exists for like governance. Midnight, let's see. And we are already working, or we have a part of this ZK proof course as well. Yes, and yeah, please stay in touch. So that's education@iohk.io, even though these days we are called IOG, the email is still, or the domain is still iohk.io. And if you have like any contacts with, I don't know, universities or groups or communities that might be interested in whatever, us helping them with something or giving presentations or having questions, I don't know, anything, then please feel free to reach out. And I mean, I should maybe also mention that we don't charge, so it's not, maybe we don't try to sell you anything. So normally, I mean, we teach free of charge. I mean, all we ask for, like for these kind of day events, is normally like hotel and flights or something. But we don't charge for teaching, because we always believe that education should be free, if possible. Right, so yeah, that would be all that I have. So are there any questions?
はい、ありがとうございました。どの方、皆さん、質問がある人とかいらっしゃいますか？
Thank you for the presentation. Recently, through Socials Fund, we have noticed a great number or a rising number of adoption of Cardano in Central Africa and South Africa, the regions, not just the countries. Especially with a lot of proposals coming from this region. So some are doing it, I think it's the unconscious adoption of Cardano in these regions because they don't understand the technology, but they are using it. Is there any plans for the future to, for the Cardano, for the IOG education board to go to these regions, especially Central Africa, to educate the Cardano community member in that region and also those who are not part of it on Cardano, because they are underserved, and we think that now they are a little bit, in my opinion, it's not that of social, a little bit neglected. Most of the things we see in Africa are mainly focused on East Africa, mainly either Ethiopia or Kenya. So is there any plan in the future to get into Central Africa and some part of South Africa or West Africa?
First of all, I mean, I think if anybody must feel neglected, it's the poor Australians and Asians, because I mean, we did 2 courses in Africa, I should say East Africa, but nevertheless Africa, and none in Asia so far. Mongolia, but that was not in person. Okay. Then I should say that the organization we did the Kenya course with, ABC, African Blockchain Association. Where does the C come from? Whatever, doesn't matter. I mean, African Blockchain something. I mean, we did the course in Kenya, but they have a presence in all of sub-Saharan Africa, I think, in particular in Nigeria and in South Africa. So, I mean, even though we picked Kenya, it was not like singling out East Africa or anything. We wanted to have like as large a reach as possible. And actually, we were considering doing something in South Africa, which would be great for me anyway, because my wife is South African. So, so I mean, we would be happy to. I mean, I must say that though the resonance or the impact of the Kenya course wasn't as large as we would have hoped. So there's that. But I mean, in principle, we have no problem with doing, I mean, we like doing stuff in Africa. As I said, we have spent like 4 months or so in Africa, more than in other parts of the world. So it's actually close to our heart. So if there's an opportunity, if there's like enough students that are good enough and driven enough to put in the work, because I mean, these courses are actually very tough. So a lot of my students have said it was the hardest course they ever did in their lives. So it's like full-time classes and then homework, and you like every day for like 2 months. So it's really difficult. But I mean, the people that actually went through it, I think they benefited a lot. So I think the biggest problem is to find like enough students, let's say at least 50 or so, that are highly qualified and highly motivated to do that. And then I think we would be happy to do a course like that again.
Just as an add-on, like usually the bottleneck is the amount of engaged students. If the community in any country can pull off like reuniting enough driven people for us to do the course, that's like the 80% of the work done. Then we can like sort of, most of the time we can figure out the logistics to go there and actually train them.
Right, exactly. I mean, for example, the Kenya course, I think we expected at some point 50 students.
50 students.
And then when we went there, it was like 10.
Yeah.
So
I mean, many started, and then by the second day, third day, dropped. Crazy.
So that's why we are always a bit careful these days to commit to too much, but in principle you would be super happy if there were like
Yeah,
lots of.
in Argentina we had 22. They weren't all Argentinians. They were like from Chile and from all around Latin America, and just one drop. And they went like 2 weeks, 8 hours a day or 10 hours a day, non-stop. So if you can get the students, we will be there, basically.
How do you get like that? Argentina is very different from other countries.
No, I think the organizer has a huge role. So if the organizer just brings random people that they sort of interested in Cardano, that doesn't work because the filter is so tough. But in Argentina, there's a lot of people interested, and there's also a strong sentiment about building on top of blockchain because of our financial issues. So that helps a lot. So you can find well-trained engineers that are driven, they want to learn, not because it's trendy or because maybe they can make a lot of money, because they actually want to solve financial issues that we have. I'm Argentinian. So I say we because I'm part of that. I know, I lived there for so many years, so I know what it is.
But near future in Japan also have problems with financial issues.
And then you think, you think of the whole training as a different thing. You think of it as a gateway to solve the issues of your own country.
Do you have any strategy or plan how to get developer from Ethereum or Bitcoin developer? So do you have plans or strategy?
So for transitioning from other
Ethereum,
blockchains?
because in Japan only they have Ethereum developer or Bitcoin. So you have to get from other side, from Ethereum, right?
Yeah, I think we're getting a big win now with futures projects like Bitcoin DeFi that will make it so Bitcoin developers that want to build like complex dApps, they will have to learn Cardano because that will be the new interface for the financial in Bitcoin. And a good strategy that we are thinking about is for not Bitcoin but for the Ethereum side, because Bitcoin I think that with that it's mostly like well developed. But yes, sorry.
Go ahead.
So is to help them translate the way they work in Ethereum but in Cardano, because our accounting system is different and the terminology is so different. They come with one mental model and they want to do that in Cardano and they face a lot of technical issues. But if you sort of change the way you think about it, it's so much easier. So we're thinking about developing a course where you take like a common architecture in Ethereum, common that, and translate it to Cardano the right way and do that for like maybe 10 apps. So that's another thing that we're exploring. We need to sort of figure out if there's a demand for it. But those will be like approaches that we think about. But if you have an idea, like we're open to it.
Thank you very much.
Okay, perfect.
Thank you. Yeah, I was just, as we're talking, I was just thinking about kind of approaching this from a different angle. I think it's easy to say, hey, let's go to the top universities and teach people there. But if you look at Asia, the largest group of kind of outsourced, programming for blockchain is actually in places like Vietnam and Thailand. Maybe you guys need to go there and teach engineers there, right? I think that's better than teaching in Tokyo as an example, right? And not that teaching in Tokyo is bad, but the actual work of the blockchain development, a lot of that is done offshore, and that's, you kind of go to the manufacturing hubs to try to support that. Something like that.
Thanks.
Actually, we already have contacts to Vietnam, and
Yeah.
we're actually considering going there this year.
Yes.
But I think there's some legislation going on
Yeah.
that will make it easier to wait like a year, but it's definitely on our radar.
Yeah, I mean, another thing I just want to add is, for example, I'm Mexican, so I know the language gap, it's an issue, right? I'm very glad that you speak Japanese because, I mean, this event is for you. Right? So we had that event I live in Spain, so we have that in Spain, we have that in Mexico. So in Mexico we speak in Spanish, in Spain we speak in Spanish. So one thing we were talking about is also following Robertino's idea. I mean, we are also interested in reaching out people who speak English because we mostly speak English. Or if you find a Spanish-speaking community in Japan, we are glad to also train them. But I mean, the thing is, we are looking for people who speak, I would say, English or Spanish in Latin America, so they can train more people. So we are looking for the train-the-training approach, right? Especially because, of course, it's more easy to learn something complex like Haskell in your language than in English. So I mean, if you can find a group of people that are willing to learn from us and they learn English at least, we can come and teach them, and so they can, I mean, spread the knowledge, teaching in Japanese. So that's, or in any local language. That's another approach. That's what we did in Argentina with Robertino and Karina, one of other colleagues. That is intention. That was also intention in Kenya, right? Train people in English because, I mean, we are from different countries: the U.S., Mongolia, Germany, Argentina, Mexico. But we speak English. I mean, as lingua franca. Esperanto isn't successful. It wasn't successful. So I mean, if that's another option. I mean, right now we have a partnership here in Tokyo. I mean, talking about Japan, with the Institute of Science. We have a colleague there, Mario. He's from Brazil, so he's teaching here. I mean, we have the space to do that. So we encourage you if you find this group of people that could be interested in learning from us to get started in developing Cardano. We can talk, right? And as we did in Argentina, we can maybe plan a course in the future. I don't know. But yes, but I think that the language gap is a real thing. So training people in English is easy for us because we all speak English, right? But I think the goal is, to train people in English or in the native language, in the case of Spanish, because half of the education people speak Spanish. So they can continue teaching people, right? And engage more people. So that's another thing. So.
Okay. I have a question. When exactly is the Midnight Academy scheduled to take when exactly is the Midnight Academy scheduled to take place? Okay.
Yeah, I'm afraid I can't answer that because Midnight does their own thing, sort of. So they decided that they want to build up their own education independent of us. We are available to help, but we are not at the moment, so I have no idea, unfortunately.
Okay.
Sorry.
Thank you. Okay. 質問ある人は日本の方ではいないですか？ Question いないですか？ないでしょうか？質問はがないですね。じゃあそうですね。これでじゃあなんて言えばいいか。OK、じゃあ終わろうかな。じゃあ皆さんありがとうございました。Thank you for us. Thank you. はい。では最後もう終わりですよね。はい、ではこれでですね、Q&A セッションも終わりましたので、本日のイベントは終わりとなります。ここからは交流ネットワークタイムが始まります。よかったら、皆さんでいろいろお話ししていただければと思います。9時半にはですね、お片付けとか始めますが、会場が10時までとなってますので、その辺よろしくお願いします。So we will now be our networking session. Please feel free to mingle and enjoy your conversation. The venue is reserved until 10 p.m. Cleanup will begin at 9:30 p.m. We kindly ask for your cooperation in advance. Thank you. ドアで皆さんお酒とか飲んでください。じゃあ皆さんじゃあ飲んで楽しみにください。作ってきて。見ないと感じる。
I think you should be there. That's you.
Ah, sí, sí, sí.
It's a little bit.
Wow.
So like
Under
here.
what? Google. Like, what is this stream thing? This?
Yeah, we stream, so we're doing like YouTube and Twitter, but most of it is from Twitter. Just this.
YouTube?
Yeah, from YouTube. The rest.
There is a live stream for X?
Yeah, it's X.
I didn't know that. Is there comments?
Crypto is mainly on X. A lot of crypto users are X, so crypto events they are better on X. Okay, we lost one YouTube.
What are we gonna do with this live into?
I don't know. I don't think we can download, so I will probably ask Sarah now. Let me do it this way. Let me talk.
日本語でこういういけます。大丈夫です。少しずつ頑張っていきたいと思います。いけます。どうぞ酒飲んでください。ありがとうございます。じゃあ金曜日の夜です。そうね。
Japan, the US more than No, this is I mean, Buenos Aires is already a big city. This is next level. We went to the sky tree, and you could see anything that is not. You see all the
Maybe so clusters of skyscrapers, maybe every city like New York City was very proud of, we had that. It was like
first time like more interested in the ride. Japan is one of those countries that is so different than the rest that you want to go and see. So I always fancy Japan, the actual. It has lived to my expectations. I think most of if you will stay like just a couple more days, I will stay 2 weeks. Oh wow! Yes! I took all my vacations and said I will invest in it. That's good. In Tokyo, are you going to no. My wife prefers everything, but we are going to go to several places. Osaka, Kyoto, but tomorrow we'll take the Shinkansen to the roller coast. Okay. Because a big-ish city on the other side of the west coast. Okay, Kanazawa. Yes, very artsy. So yeah, we're going to touch probably like 6 different towns. I love Kanazawa. It's the city of rain, so it's more beautiful when it's raining. Oh. So you came at the perfect time to swim season. Yeah. I'm going to go out. Yes. Are you based in Buenos Aires? No, I'm based in Portugal. So you speak Sorry. More or less. Good enough to survive. But not to have like political peace with someone else. I try to live no more like 3 years in the same place, in the same country, just to experience different cultures. I try. But when you get comfortable in a place, you sort of like say, I'm quite comfortable, which is scary. In Lisbon? And I was 2 years in Lisbon, but I moved to the south, which is more hot. We have like 310 sunny days a year or something. So it's sunny all the time, close to the beach. It's no, because here is so humid. Yes. Yeah. Over there is dry. Yeah. So it's different. I think here it is harder because of humidity. I'm from Malaysia and it's summer all year long, but I cannot get used to it. Yeah. It's very
Asia is worse than Malaysia?
It's just the humidity. Right. Yeah, and the fact that you have to walk every time. The entire time it's just, and this is not peak summer. During peak summer, when you get out, it's during the summer. But I've seen these little booths, metro stations where you can walk. Like Coco Pots or Bogoles. Yes. I mean, you could just go there all day with an air conditioner. So we right. That's why a lot of people has been here. Although it will be really hard to have meetings. Oh yeah, time difference. Same food already. You can act. Only 1 hour. This morning I had a meeting with Buenos Aires. It was like 12 hours, and when I went to Buenos Aires, And there's so much more in Argentina besides Buenos Aires. It's so big. Argentina is huge. If you have like 15 days to travel, you can see. No. I went with my family because I took the opportunity to visit. So I traveled like in all directions to visit like uncles. I did like 2 months. I was just work with my family's homes. And then I came back. Yeah. Your family is here as well? And you will visit?
Not too bad. Compared to Buenos Aires.
Yeah, probably. But somehow, I don't really, my wife said she really forced me if I could say this. Because, I mean, you hear all these horror stories that people listen to here. But probably I have to because of this book, I mean, we want to announce.
What is going to happen?
Yeah. Hopefully. You're presenting.
But not technical.
And why social?
So that's why I was like, okay.
I'm not sure whether that will ever work when I'm bringing services to it. But at least it's like honest. I think Charles is honest. We tried. And that already makes me feel much better than working with another company that is a virtual company that tries to make really good service. And things like this in Ethiopia, because I mean, it really made me happy. Yes. Yeah, because they had to basically quit their jobs because it was like 3 months. So we sort of made them and translated with so that they sustain themselves.
Reduce the risk that they were taking. They were risking not having a job. It's nice to work. You have 25 hours. Is there a smoking room or something? He has to go downstairs.
Maybe downstairs.
Would it be inside or outside? That belong to a restaurant. But I can try. everybody is basically didn't understand anything. And in Kenya, I think it's also
yeah, not as much, but yeah. That's why we are sort of like, we are not enough, and we don't know enough languages to teach everyone. So that's why we started training people, whatever language we can, and then they train. University professor, like Malaysia has that would be great. Oh, that would be amazing as well. I'm sure we have brain power right now. Already have 7 more languages, Spanish and English, and no, I deliver a course, in Spanish in Buenos Aires. All the students already have the content in Spanish. They are teaching. We have university professors from Peru, from Chile, Buenos Aires. They will already. So that's already done. The thing is that it's not online for people to read because it was taught sort of so many hours, like 50 hours non-stop class. So that needs to be trimmed down to make it YouTube friendly. 20-minute video, 10 good pace. Yeah.
Do you think try to hire a professional translator? Alternatively, you could like use ChatGPT or whatever and then ask
like a political whether it's important. And that's exactly what I was getting. Weird shit. It's like I mean, it smells like fish, but it's like
I was just checking.
So sorry to interrupt your conversation. We'll do something at some point. Yeah. So I was telling these guys, I teach crypto finance at UCLA, so I should get you guys to come and do something. Sure.
Do you have a technical branch there?
So I'm on the business side, so I teach crypto finance. There are the engineering side, they do the computer science programming and stuff like that. So I'll talk to the blockchain club and see if they want to do something. Yeah. I had a dancing one come in and speak at my class. Finance.
Amazing.
Yeah. Okay. All right. See you.
Yeah, I mean, you work with translation, so what about the question that Lars asked? Do you think there's enough Japanese people that don't know English but are interested in learning Cardano, so that it's worth translating the code?
Like you said, I think it's the quality of people that you gather. But as far as I know, my girl very interested, so I think it's really worth
So maybe we should. Maybe have
I will be working day and night.
No, I mean, we were thinking we could maybe initial draft and then, but we would need some native speakers.
Is it the draft?
So I have and I had to
Yes.
ended up like
You will everything yourself.
but it's a good start though.
Yeah?
Yeah,
It's better than not having anything.
yes.
Okay. I mean, luckily, so lucky, luckily we need more than just one knowledge. Depending on the time frame.
But I mean, it's just nice to have whatever you don't have to do.
You don't have to accept it. You don't have to accept yourself to hear the offer.
I mean, we want to announce it already, so it's beginning of August, but obviously we need the Japanese translation by then.
Right.
So there's actually maybe a deadline. It's like 400 pages.
Yes, sort of. There's pictures every now and then. So 300 and some pages. But yeah, I mean, we are at the point of it's not that we have it needs to be done in the next 1 month,
So why did you join the socialist?
My current major is environmental science. Searches is a lot. But I've never really gotten to decide
you're interested in a specific branch of environmental science?
I think more than that, I'm more into learning about how to analyze data, like how to that into a public but also learn more about because I always feel like sustainability is something
want to make more money, you have to be more effective. No, it's an important job. I think it's a great thing. People should work. Yeah.
People are always like, oh, cities are like, but it's like not my
Yeah, it's stress.
Then I wanted originally I wanted to do engineering and become a local professor. But in Germany it's sort of difficult because either you get tenure or you are like 40 years old with no job experience and at some point so then I got like a software developer. But then I was, after 10 years I was bored because it was also like conservative and traditional. I liked this Hess business. And then I became a Hess developer. So yeah, so my background is mathematics, like PhD in mathematics.
So I studied civil engineering. So I specialized in dam optimization. So like making sure we are using as little water as possible to manage the water resources. But throughout university, to make money, I coded applications, mobile applications. So I did that for like the job. And I used the same skills for software engineering as well. So I started doing companies, software engineers related to civil engineering, stuff like that. And I love machine learning as well. So that's how I heard I like the idea of research driven blockchains. And when I realized in a podcast, Charles was an expert machine, he said that they use ASCII. I was like, oh, so that's how I Cardano and I realized the gap that I started teaching ASCII. My manager actually was like, hey, you like to the thing that you're doing for free. Do you want to get paid for it? Yes.
Before I forget, so because of the translation of but it's good to know at least one person potentially. But the first person, Japanese person, so my wife was very strict, said you must always put ends, must be legible, you must turn it right or wrong, so I was a bit nervous.
My mom told me the other day I went to the AWS I had to go and talk to people to advertise it, trying to advertise it, how to ask it to store it. So I went up to them, yes, they gave me the business card. And if you have it too, it's always like down and down and down. Like, wow. Like other boards, obviously you don't keep going down, but like, and then my mom asked me, did you do that? No, did I not do that? So many like, things that you have to know, especially
Yeah, so that's
That thing I say all the time just in case. I mean, everything is in English. Even though we don't, we ourselves never did a Haskell course. Almost all the Haskell methods Haskell is easier to learn. So I think they are not. We are trying to focus in the underdogs, like people that they want to but they can't because of external reasons. So I don't think the US is one of the very big contributions.
we have some developers.
We have the now, but now it's just our training.
Yeah, but I mean, I'm trying to like,
Yes, we have.
so yeah, sure. I mean, I wasn't trying the Japanese. Because that was online, but then mixing it. They had like full-time jobs and these companies. And then she had to get up at 3 at night and attend like 6 months class or something. But my point is just that, I mean, I can't see if we don't know what is doing this.
Okay.
And also for the beginning, maybe invite Sarah online just in case.
Okay, I will do that.